right, everyone, welcome back. Alex Goldman from the stands here. First, from the top of the show, guys, co-host Josh can't be with us today. Had some things he's got to sort out, but we're very luckily joined this morning by Michelle Montague. So, Michelle, how you going today?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, flying out tomorrow, so just getting a few last things squared away.
Yeah, no, of course. So, look, I want to sort of, know, can you take me back to sort of, your introduction to the sport? How your journey as a martial artist, truly began. Can you walk me through that?
I was playing rugby at the time, and I was on YouTube, and I saw these women fighting, and like I didn't know what any aspect of the sport was at the time, but it was Ronda Rousey and some other girl, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, that girl's built like me, and I like tackling people and throwing people like in rugby sense. I need to find out what the sport is, so I straight away like looked up a MMA gym near me, and this was 9 years ago, and then the closest one was about 45 minutes away in the city. I went there the first day, and the owner of that gym is still my coach to this day. He's just landed in New York now. And yeah, I never looked back from that moment. I think 5 weeks in, I had my first amateur fight, and like just haven't stopped since then.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, obviously from the beginning of your journey to now, getting the opportunity to train with martial artists like Kayla Harrison at, a world
Yeah.
renowned gym like American Top Team. I was just wondering if you could sort of speak to that experience, how Kayla has helped you develop as a fighter and, the sort of importance that that relationship is going to have on, the development of your career.
Yeah, she's physically, stronger than me. So it's having someone that is not only stronger than you, but uh can outsmart you with the feet as well. You know what I mean? So if, say, for example, my strongest suit is the grappling, which I'd say it is, then having someone that can outstrength me on that and fine tune what I do with it as well is very valuable. And it's not like it's just a coach saying it; it's someone that you're training with. So it's kind of like a perfect little package there. And obviously, that she's had the amount of pro fights she's had. I think I've had only that many fights all up, including amateur. So it's it's good to see that level of experience and knowledge from her, and as well as having someone that is your buddy as well, so you can talk shit and really get down to the nitty gritty of stuff as well as what you need. So for me, that's the kind of person I am. Like I like being personable was something I'd take I don't know, that's kind of who I am. So knowing someone on a professional level, and then knowing them like as a person as well, for me is like very important if I'm going to be involved with them, because I know what kind of person they are. So yeah, so having that with her really ticks the boxes, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michelle, obviously, you're facing Abby Montez in, just a few days, August 23rd. She's a very tough, very durable fighter. You kind of commented on it just then. Do you think the grappling is going to be the main sort of advantage you have going, over her going into this fight, or do you think it's, something else that's going to give you that specific edge heading into the fight?
It's a good question, mate. I would like to think that my grappling experience and strength and competition level and piecing it together would I guess out level her in that aspect. She's a bit of a boxer, she's not. She's pretty much like a solid all round MMA fighter. So I'm not going to be surprised if she goes to take me down, or we end up clinching, or we're like kickboxing from the outside, not engaging too much initially. So I think both of us prepared for it to go anywhere, because I mean, I've had this is my fourth pro fight. She's had six, so it's not like there's a lot of tape there to see what someone always does. We both do a big mixture. She's had submissions and she's had fights of boxing. I've had a couple of the other, but with all finishes obviously with grappling, but each fight has been a little bit different. So I think honestly going into this, that's obviously where my biggest advantage will be. But it's just one of those ones where neither of us are going to know which way it's going to go, probably because we both like to do everything.
Yeah, for sure. What's been the sort of biggest development in your game as a martial artist that you've picked up since training at ATT? Obviously every gym sort of, adds to the development of a fighter in, unique ways. What are sort of the specific, developments that you found that you've had at American Top Team?
Yeah, good question. And I don't think this particular answer isn't exactly gym specific to Top Team. If I'd spent the last 2 years, at core MMA or city kickboxing, I'm sure would have developed also from just not working and training part-time, just training full-time, right? And that would be obviously the kickboxing side of it all, just getting reps in and drilling it out so often, just like you do with jiu-jitsu and wrestling, that it improves, exponentially. So that's a big improvement there. But I would say specific to ATT, it would be, you're a small fish in a big pond. It's not like New Zealand where we only have, I think you could count on one hand the amount of pro women MMA fighters we have. And I think all 5 of us would be we're in different weight groups, so it's hard, and each girl has a different strength, so it's hard to have always someone that's going to either dominate you or someone that's going to always be good for the grappling side or whatever. So it's good to have the numbers of the females at ATT, so it could even be against like a 135 UFC girl that we have at the gym, and I'm still like learning so much from the rounds, because they are at that top level. So I'm killing an ant.
No, go for it.
So yeah, I think that would be the biggest growth from this gym specifically is constantly being challenged by female fighters around you, no matter the weight and size, because they're all living in America, training full time as well.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that sort of the rapid growth of, women's MMA in particular over the last 5 years, do you think that that's really allowed, more women to feel more comfortable going into a gym environment? Because, I know for a lot of girls, it can be a little bit intimidating sometimes walking into an MMA gym. It's, mostly guys there on the mat. But do you think this sort of rapid growth of women's MMA is going to allow women to feel more comfortable to join those environments?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember like 6 years ago at Carlo's gym in Hamilton there, and I was coaching like the women's MMA class because most of them weren't comfortable training with the guys.
Yep.
They watch fights on TV and bits and pieces, and they want to learn jiu-jitsu, whether it's for weight loss or self-defense, or they actually want to fight. And you've got them all in one little group there, and they're nervous enough with each other, let alone with the men. So I know most gyms have a female class in some way or another, but I think it varies on the woman. Like if I'm a girl going in there just to learn self-defense or to lose weight, I'm probably not comfortable training with these male athletes. But if I'm a girl going in there to learn to fight, there's probably a part of me that doesn't really give two shits about that. I think with the women's MMA scene growing so much more, or maybe not even growing more, but just being more publicly accepted and more globally accepted on social media, because I think honestly with them cutting weight divisions out, here and there and all that jazz, I don't think it's that it's really grown in the last few years. I think it's become more publicly known and accepted by women to take part in. You get girls like one of the, I think her name's Caitlin and whatever her name is, fighting tonight, one of the flyweights in the PFL, and she used to be a cheerleader and then she changed over. So I'm like, these girls that would never have thought about all those years ago, because it's like, oh, that's a man's sport or whatever. Now they're like, oh, look at all these feminine women that fight and train, and it's a beautiful martial art, and they want to be part of it.
Yeah, I think they also just got to realize most of the men in martial arts are all introverted nerds for the most part anyway as well. It's just like, you got to realize. But look,
and all the girls are fucking psychos.
Yep. Yeah, but oh well, it's what makes the sport beautiful. But look, Michelle, 100%. Last question from us. We don't want to keep you too long because obviously you got a lot to prep for. But for you, let's say 5-10 years down the track, where are you looking to take your career? Is the goal for you to be world champion? Is the goal for you to develop a brand and open a gym? For you, what is the set end goal for your career? Where would you like to be in the next 5 years?
Well, you said 5 to 10. So 10 years, I'd like to have my own family and be, on a big piece of grass somewhere with a, shack of a house and just playing in the mud. But I think in the next 5 years, so if I'm 29 now, I think the next 5 years, I'd like to have a world title around my waist, and, haven't had 3 fights a year in that time. So, be up to near 20 pro fights and maybe looking at either changing either weights or organizations or calling it a day, whatever it might be. If I'm over here away from my family in New Zealand, 50 weeks of the year from now on, then I really want to be making the most of it. So if I can be getting these, 3 fights a year done, maybe 4, then I think we can see that happening in 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michelle, wishing you all the best of luck for your fight on August 23rd. I know that we'll be tuning in. We can't wait to watch it. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you giving us some time. All the best, Michelle. We'd
No,
love to
yeah,
chat to you again after the fight.
absolutely, mate. You got me sold.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michelle.